you the update for the week and seeing what else comes through. So with that said, we're still in Aquarius season. So this is the season of higher thoughts, ideals, spiritual community, and continuing to ascend both as individuals and as a collective, as a whole. So we're definitely still feeling that energy. And Mercury is also in Aquarius right now until the 14th, so until Valentine's Day. And it's going to enter Pisces. So that's interesting because Mercury moving into Pisces on Valentine's Day, it definitely adds depth to how we communicate, depth of our emotions. And it takes us from this idealized place of love into a more direct place in emotional in ways in that way too. And it's interesting because we have that Pisces energy for Mercury, but then Venus, our planet of love and connection, it is in Aries at this time. So Aries, when Venus is in Aries, it is very much the energy of I want to conquer this. And then once you conquer it, you kind of like, oh, okay, I conquered it. Now move on to the next thing. So with that said, for those of you out there who are single at this time, just be aware that this, if you're finding someone or if you're single, you have plans with someone and you find that it's getting hot and heavy, there is a likelihood that if you see it all the way through, it may be a connection that ends up going away at this time. And that's not that it wouldn't serve you in that, but that's kind of the energy of the moment as well too. And then I've spoken to this in the past couple of weeks, but it still deserves to be focused on, is Mars is currently retrograding, and it's retrograding now in the sign of Cancer. So it's going to go direct in about 13 days on February 23rd. And so until it is, Mars is the energy of action, of being able to take action, of reacting to situations as well too. So when it's in Cancer, especially when it's retrograding, it's almost like that's offline, and the ways in which our emotions hold us back from taking action, that is coming up at this time. So any of those emotions that have been coming up basically since December, when this is started retrograding, that those are the issues to work on, because those are the things that hold you back emotionally. So if you're able to address that during this time when Mars goes direct, those issues will no longer be present for you to move forward as you are wanting to take action, as you're wanting to react as well too. So again, know that if there's those heavy emotions coming up, that is on purpose. The universe is bringing that out so that there can kind of be a clearing, an acknowledgement, and a healing for you, so that you can move forward more intentionally without your emotions or those deeper beliefs that are tied to those situations holding you back as well too. The other thing I wanted to speak to is on Wednesday, so in a couple days, we have a full moon, and it'll be the full moon in Leo, since we do have the sun in Aquarius. And so this full moon will kind of bring forward that energy of Leo represents kind of the self, intrapersonal, and Aquarius represents the outer, or, community, the outside world. And so this really puts a highlight between these two energies of where am I, where's my community, where am I, how do I feel about my community, who do I feel connected with? And I will say, in a lot of my client readings lately too, there's been this energy of evaluating relationships. And it's not just the intimate relationship, but it's about evaluating friendships. And the universe has kind of turned up the energy or the vibe in a certain way, where it's like we're either going to really appreciate relationships, or we're really going to feel like I need to do something about this. I either need to shift this out, I need to clear this out, I need to clear the air so that there can then be shifted into more of a positive vibe between me and that person, more understanding in that way. So all of that energy is here and present. The other thing I'll say is that Leo energy likes appreciation. So this is an interesting time as we're coming into Valentine's Day. We still have a couple days, 4 days until that happens, a couple days after the full moon, but you can still feel those effects. And so this can also be kind of that energy of love. Leos need a lot of love. They have a lot of love to give, and they need a lot of love. And so it's important to acknowledge that. And I think this is an important time for you to acknowledge yourself in that way, and then also look to how you are balancing yourself with community. Maybe you feel like there's an opportunity for you to create more of a community, a connection in that way. So start taking steps, start coming to Reiki Tech classes, coming to workshops, doing, spiritual workshops, doing community events, things that you feel drawn to, so that you can build more of that sense of community. And that's only going to help you appreciate others, and then be able to have others love and appreciate you as well in that way. So with that said, that's kind of the energy update, the kind of intuitive messages that are important to be aware of at this time. But I did pull this next week's worth of cards in tarot to kind of feel out the energies of each day. So it's kind of interesting We'll start with today. Today we have the King of Cups. And I feel like this is a good representation of today, although I feel like this is like the King of Cups, but a little bit wonky, maybe like a Mad Hatter style King of Cups, because there are some kind of interesting energies happening today, but it's somewhat of an emotional day. I would say one where there can be some emotional fulfillment, especially by the end of the day. And then coming into tomorrow, we have the Page of Swords. So maybe some message to be likely delivered tomorrow, one that's important. And with this, sometimes the message that gets delivered by the Page of Swords can be one that is hard to hear. So maybe there is some message coming through tomorrow about, kind of, to me, it comes across as like something that is going to validate your experience with someone else, or help you to understand the perspective that someone else has been coming from. And then you can decide, how do I want to move forward in this relationship? Wednesday, the day of the full moon, we have the 10 of Wands reversed. So this is really interesting. Typically when this is upright, this represents caring too much, maybe for others as well as ourselves, being very, very kind of buried down in the work that you're doing. And so when it becomes reversed, it's a release of that which isn't serving you. So this full moon, I think, is a really good opportunity to release what's not serving you, again, in the form of relationships. And then it's also in the form of ideals. With Aquarius, we kind of shoot to the ideal of what may be and how this is. So if we've been a little bit too idealized in our life through this Aquarius season, this full moon in Leo is going to kind of balance that out and bring more of ourselves into it. Where do ourselves come and fit into the line of this? And where does our self-love allow us to continue to be who we are while we connect with that outside community? That was cool. That was channeled and beautiful. So Thursday, we have the 7 of Pentacles reversed. So I would say Thursday is probably, how Thursdays usually feel, especially if it's a normal work week for you, that you're getting the work done, but there may be a sense of like slowness. That full moon may affect you more than you might realize. And what's interesting is, even though Friday is Valentine's Day, we have the 5 of Cups, which is a card of mourning. So I think that for those of you who are, if you have someone that you're spending Valentine's Day with, if you know that you're going to have that love and appreciation with them, there might be some emotional release that comes with that, some relief, something along those lines. Or if there's those expectations for Valentine's Day and you don't have someone that you're spending time with, there may be grief that comes up. There may be ways of certain energies that have been holding you back that need to be addressed for you to be able to do that. So just know that Friday is definitely an emotionally intense day, I think, just because of the expectation of Valentine's Day. And then I know there's also factors of astrology that factor into Valentine's Day as well too, but I haven't had a chance to look into that as much. So next year we'll talk about it. So with that said, Saturday, interesting. Following our emotional release day on Friday, Valentine's Day, we have the 3 of Swords reversed. So I think that this will allow for more of that healing to get to the root of what's happening. So maybe a challenging weekend overall. We are rounding it out with the Emperor reversed, but I think that this is a week of really being honest with ourselves, where we're at emotionally, where we feel like we're at in the world, and just letting ourselves be without expectation. I feel like that is really the key and the goal to think about as you experience this week. And I will leave you all with that.